Now, the Brexit debate has just been spiced up by the intervention of Steve Hilton, who was, for about 7 years, the Prime Minister's chief strategist. He moved to California, but is back this week to launch the paperback issue of his book, More Human. It's a kind of personal manifesto for transferring power from the state to the people. And to do this, he says, then Britain has to vote to leave the EU. He joins me now. So, Steve, how exactly is the EU, in your phrase, less human?
I think it's actually at the heart of what I've been arguing for and fighting for all my time in politics, which is people power. The EU, to me, is one of the most clear representations of almost everything that's gone wrong with the world in the last few decades, as we've seen more and more power being centralized. All the systems and structures of the modern world are just becoming too big and bureaucratic and distant from the human scale. And that is, I think, at the heart of the anger and frustration that people are feeling, not just here in the UK, but in Europe and even in America, with the way the world runs at the moment.
Now, many people who want Brexit have been advocating these kind of freedoms, but what makes you different is that you speak with experience of government. And are you surprised to see how few of the people you were number 10 with are now saying, well, it's time to leave the EU? Because at the time, I certainly remember hearing that Oliver Lett, when they decided it was time to leave the EU, it was the only way of dealing with this problem.
Yes, Oliver had a very, very strong point of view that was the only way of dealing with it. I don't know what his position is today.
But if you were in government right now, you would know that a Prime Minister can't walk away saying, actually, my renegotiation has failed, I'm going to advocate leaving the EU. That would be a huge admission of failure. So from the moment this referendum was declared and the renegotiation strategy announced, politically, there isn't another option open to him.
Well, I hate to introduce Donald Trump into the conversation, but I think it's actually highly relevant at this moment.
He's for Brexit as well.
Well, in the one of the points he makes is that in a negotiation, and he has a lot of experience, and as he keeps reminding audiences, he wrote The Art of the Deal. He said that anyone, if you want to do well in negotiation, the most important thing is that you have to show that you're prepared to walk away. The whole point of the negotiation is to say it could go either way, and what it depends on is what I get in these negotiations. So I think that there's no in principle reason that the die was cast at the beginning of the process.
Right. And how much of renegotiation would you say that we've got? Do we have a renegotiation that's worth a name?
No, I don't think that there's any sense in which the EU has been reformed as a result of this process.
Okay. Do you think the Prime Minister will speak to you again after your intervention in this? I had thought you'd just keep your silence from California, but you're another little Brexit bomb dropped in his...
Well, the thing is that the truth is that this is, in many ways, the fight of my life. Every single thing I've done in my life, one way or another, has been driven by this incredibly fierce belief in people power and a real loathing of and contempt for anything and anyone that tries to stand in its way. That's why I first backed Mrs. Thatcher as a kid, when it was really socially embarrassing to do that, because I felt that she was fighting for working people and was fighting against the establishment that were trying to put people in their place. One way or another, this is what has driven my entire life. So for me to sit that out was just not something I could, in all conscience, do.
Steve Hilton, thank you very much.